Open Book Genesis 30 Dow Reams 1899 American edition. 1 And Rachel, seeing herself without children, envied her sister, and said to her husband, Give me children, otherwise I shall die. 2 And Jacob, being angry with her, answered, Am I as God, who have deprived thee of the fruit of thy womb? 3 But she said, I have here my servant Bala, go in unto her that she may bear upon my knees, and I may have children by her. 4 And she gave him Bala in marriage. 5 When her husband had gone in unto her, conceived, and bore a son. 6 And Rachel said, The Lord hath judged for me, and hath heard my voice giving me a son, and therefore she called his name Dan. 7 And again Bala conceived and bore another. 8 For whom Rachel said, God hath compared me with my sister, and I have prevailed, and she called him Naphtali. 9 Leah, perceiving that she had left off bearing, gave Zilpah her handmaid to her husband. 10 And when she had conceived and brought forth a son. 11 She said, Happily. And therefore called his name Gad. 12 Zilpah also bore another. 13 And Leah said, This is for my happiness, for women will call me blessed. Therefore she called him Aser. 14 And Reuben, going forth in the time of the wheat harvest into the field, found mandrakes, which he brought to his mother Leah. And Rachel said, Give me part of thy son's mandrakes. 15 She answered, Dost thou think it a small matter, that thou hast taken my husband from me, unless thou take also my son's mandrakes? Rachel said, Let him sleep with thee this night for thy son's mandrakes. 16 And when Jacob returned at even from the field, Leah went out to meet him, and said, Thou shalt come in unto me, for I have hired thee with my son's mandrakes. And he slept with her that night. 17 And God heard her prayers, and Leah conceived, and bore the fifth son. 18 And said, God hath given me a reward, because I gave my handmaid to my husband. And she called his name Issachar. 19 And Leah conceived again, and bore the sixth son. 20 And said, God have endowed me with a good dowry, this turn also my husband will be with me, because I have borne him 6 sons, and therefore she called his name Zabulon. 21 After whom she bore a daughter named Dinah. 22 The Lord also, remembering Rachel, heard her, and opened her womb. 23 And she conceived, and bore a son, saying, God hath taken away my reproach. 24 And she called his name Joseph, saying, The Lord add another son to me. 25 And when Joseph was born, Jacob said to his father-in-law, Suffer me to return to my country, and to my land. 26 Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served thee, that I may depart. Thou knowest the service that I have rendered thee. 27 Laban said to him, Let me find favor in thy sight. I have learned by experience that God hath blessed me for thy sake. 28 And he said, Appoint thy wages which I shall give thee. 29 But he answered, Thou knowest how I have served thee, and how great thy possession hath increased under my hand. 30 Thou hadst but little before I came, and now thou art become rich, and the Lord hath blessed thee at my coming. It is just therefore that I provide also for my own house. 31 But he said, What shall I give thee? And Jacob answered, I will not take anything of thee, but if thou wilt do what I shall say, I will again feed, and keep thy flocks. 32 I will go round through all thy flocks today, and separate all the speckled and spotted sheep, and all the brown and speckled and spotted goats, and this shall be my reward. 33 And my justice shall answer for me hereafter, when the time of thy agreement shall come, and all that is not speckled, and spotted among the goats, and brown among the sheep, shall be counted stolen by me. 34 And Laban said, I like well what thou demandest. 35 And he separated the same day the she-goats, and the she-goats that were speckled and spotted, and all the she-goats that had white in them, and all the brown among the sheep, and gave them into the hands of his sons. 36 And he set 3 days' journey betwixt himself and his son-in-law, and Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flocks. 37 And Jacob took green rods of poplar, and of almond, and of plane trees, and pilled them in part. So when the bark was taken off in the parts that were pilled, there appeared whiteness, but the parts that were whole remained green, and by this means the color was divers. 38 And he put them in the troughs, where the water was poured out, that when the flocks should come to drink, they might have the rods before their eyes, and in the sight of them might conceive. 39 And it came to pass that in the very heat of Coadian, the sheep beheld the rods, and brought forth spotted, and of divers colors, and speckled. 40 And Jacob separated the flock and put the rods in the troughs before the eyes of the rams, and all the white and the black were Laban's, and the rest were Jacob's when the flocks were separated one from the other. 41 So when the ewes went first to ram, Jacob put the rods in the troughs of water before the eyes of the rams, and of the ewes, that they might conceive while they were looking upon them. 42 But when the latter coming was, and the last conceiving, he did not put them. And those that were later conceived became Laban's, and the former were Jacob's. 43 And the man was enriched exceedingly, and he had many flocks, maidservants and men servants, camels and asses.